We have free will, the ability to make choices, to decide moment to moment what we're going to do and how we're going to act. Yet our free will, it exists within our mental framework. So basically within what we believe and see about the world. And we often forget that we have been conditioned into a certain framework, a certain view of the way that which we see everything. And this is really important to remember, and I bring this up because there was a big shift in mental frameworks about what it meant for long-term enduring success right around World War I. And the author illustrates this at the beginning of the novel, or the beginning of the book, when he tells us that he did a ton of research, a ton of reading and scanning of literature up until present day, or 1987, when he completed the book. And what he found was just really interesting, really, really important. So he found that up until World War I, what it meant to be successful was really based on character. It was based on internal things, internal value, and that your character was what was going to determine your success. And that was the catalyst, the foundation, internalization of principles such as humility, temperance, patience, courage, all these beautiful things. This was at the forefront of people's minds. And this was the propelling factor that allowed people to maintain the grit to really continue to do whatever they were doing. Now this shifted right around World War I. It shifted much more into personality ethics. And personality ethics is simply much more revolving around behavior, attitudes, your image, your public image, right? What people think about you. And this is extremely interesting because this has led us to our contemporary time period where everything is upside down with success, because we often think of success solely in monetary things and in external things. And that's not surprising because personality, remember, personality comes from the word persona from the Greeks, which means mask. So personality is really, really focused about appearance and what other people think and externals and appearances and stuff like that. Whereas character, before World War I, character was the driving force. And I really, really just cannot emphasize enough to begin to study principles. So there are principles that permeate the universe, and there's principles in nature. And for example, one of those principles, believe it or not, is humor. So if you ever watch animals, they intrinsically, instinctively are humorous. They play with each other. So that is in nature. So if we can let these principles, if we can focus more on principles and less on externals and personality, that's when we really become powerful, and that's when we gain the momentum to allow long-term success to enter our life. Because let's face it, things get difficult, we get tested, we go through tribulations. We have to have something deep within us, a fire that burns eternally. That's in all of us. It has to be lit and it has to be burning in order for us to move through that. And we're often told you can fake it till you make it, pretend, you can do all these things. And maybe you can in some ways, but you have to begin to decide what it is that you stand for, what it is that's important to you, and discover what it is, what principles that you want to embody. You see, for me, humility is really, really important. To me, humility is the key to it all, because the more humble that we can become, the more that we can actually learn, experientially, theoretically, everything. Because if we walk around with arrogance and pride, well, then we can't learn anything because we think we know everything. So for me, humility is really, really important. Another one that's really important is discipline. I find discipline to be extremely important to me. And when I'm not, living my life with discipline, there's a disconnect. Now, this is the big thing that I wanted to share with you today, is that Oftentimes, people think that the disconnect with themselves, that they don't feel fulfilled, is because they didn't reach the external success that they were looking for. Now, I'm going to share with you a story. So, oftentimes, I find it really important to discuss with people vision, what it is that you want to move into, or where your direction is. At least setting a direction. You're going this way, you're going that way. And this is really important. However, once you begin to set vision, things can become a little bit tricky, because if you have a vision, you want to have monetary success, you want to have your own business, whatever it might be, and those things take a lot of time. They take a lot of effort. They take a lot of willpower. They take a lot of patience. Okay? Now, if you set the vision and those external things aren't coming, then you can get really down on yourself. And that actually has happened to me before, where I set really big visions and things were not manifesting as quickly as I would have liked. And I was like, wow, oh my gosh, why is this happening? I don't know if I want to do this anymore, right? I was questioning myself. But then I began to go deeper. And I began to realize that my disconnect, my dissatisfaction was not because of lacking the external things, but because I wasn't living through my principles at certain moments. At certain times when I should have exhibited the discipline that I find to be extremely important for me, and I wasn't, that's where the disconnect was. So I'm convinced that a lot of our suffering is actually not from the external, not having the external things, but not allowing internal principles that are in our heart, that are in our soul, to manifest through. Or we're denying them. And it's not an easy journey. It is not an easy journey. But it's important that we begin to recognize what are our values, what is important to us. Because guess what? This world is not going to talk to you about values, right? The system, everything out there is all based on superficial, fake shit. And quite frankly, I'm over it. You know what I mean? It can be very challenging to live in a world that's so superficial. But what brings me hope and inspiration is that I know that there are people out there who are looking for something more, who are looking for something deeper than this world that has been promoting to us as if you take a picture and it gets a lot of likes, that means you're successful. It doesn't. That means that you have a lot of people admiring you, which is cool. I want to see people step in to that true nature, that true self that can take on the world, and that can do so with ease. Well, maybe not with ease because it can be difficult, but with a real sense of courage, right? Principle. So these things are super important. We're going to get way more into this as I go through this book and this new series. I'm really excited, and I just can't wait to keep getting into it. So my name is Zach. I welcome you to One Thought Growth. If this is your first time, please like and share the video, and I'll see you soon.